Hello everyone, Jared Jones here at Sutter's Fort State Historic Park. I am in the kitchen as we are going to make today latkes, which are Yiddish for potato pancakes. To make latkes, this is what you'll need. You will need 2 large russet potatoes, or in this case, 6 small potatoes, 1 onion, 1 to 2 eggs, and about a half a cup of matzo meal or breadcrumbs, salt and pepper to taste, and olive oil to fry your latkes in. And how we're going to be cooking our latkes today is over hot coals in our hearth in a cast iron skillet. Hanukkah is celebrated with the lighting of the menorah, exchanging gifts, playing games with family, and eating traditional foods like latkes. While Hanukkah was never observed at Sutter's Fort in the 1840s, Jewish people at this time might have observed Hanukkah with their family and friends at home. Sutter's Fort in the 1840s was a melting pot of different customs and cultures. This was the end point of the overland trail of American immigrants coming to California. This was the crossroads as a trading post for sailors and trappers. This was the Sacramento district of Mexican California, and located near about 30 different California Native American villages. While the official religion in Mexican California was Catholicism, many of the American immigrants coming to California were seeking religious freedom. And amongst those people were some that practiced Judaism, largely believed that a Jewish community began in California in 1849. There was a presence of Jewish people in Northern California beforehand, and it has its beginnings and its roots in where I am at right now, Sutter's Fort. In 1848, Albert Priest came to California upon the news of the gold discovery. According to Hubert Howe Bancroft's History of California, Priest was originally from Germany, and he traveled overland to Oregon in 1843. Upon his arrival in California, he and his business partners, Barton Lee and P.B. Cornwall, they established Priest Lee and Company. And they wanted to sell mining equipment to incoming gold seekers. Where did they open their shop? Right here at Sutter's Fort. In March of 1848, Priest Lee and Company rented the northeast section of Sutter's Fort. So the rooms that we know of today as the bakery and the blanket factory. That is where they sold mining equipment out of their rented shop until they purchased that whole section of the fort on December 28, 1848. But their shop did not last long here at Sutter's Fort. With property being sold along the waterfront, where Old Sacramento is today, in the new Sacramento City, they wanted to move their store there. In the spring of 1849, Priest Lee and Company was relocated to 2nd and I Streets in Sacramento City. In December 1849, Moses Hyman and Albert Priest organized the first Jewish congregation, not only in Sacramento, not only in California, but on the Pacific Coast. They met above Hyman's jewelry store at the corner of Front and I Streets. And it is where the small Jewish community in Sacramento celebrated the first High Holy Days in Sacramento, otherwise known as the Jewish New Year. Other Jewish holidays were celebrated at Hyman's jewelry store until the congregation was able to get its own synagogue. On June 4th, 1852, Alexander Meyer, Charles Friedman, Joseph Levinson, and Albert Priest, officers of the Association of the Children of Israel, purchased the Methodist Episcopal Church on 7th Street between M and L Streets. On September 3rd, 1852, the building was dedicated by the B'nai Israel congregation, making it the first congregational-owned synagogue in California. The first service at the synagogue was in September 1852. However, the first synagogue in California burned down on November 2nd, 1852 during the Great Conflagration, where 80% of Sacramento burned within just a few hours. The congregation moved to a different building on J Street within just a couple months and located to other buildings for years after. Until today, the B'nai Israel congregation still exists today on Riverside Boulevard in Sacramento. Now that we've had our history lesson, now let's make our latkes. So let's get started. We gotta start shredding our potatoes. Now, I washed my potatoes ahead of time. You can either use a shredder like this, or you can use a food processor. Move your potatoes to the side and take your onion. And you'll want to peel your onion. Chop off the ends. Now you'll want to shred the onions just like the potatoes. Shredding the potatoes and the onion is important, and that's how you'll make sure that your latkes bind together properly and cook together properly in the oil. Once you have your onion and your potatoes shredded, you'll want to take cheesecloth and cover your bowl. And then you'll want to tip it over, making sure to get as much as possible onto your cheesecloth. This is really important because right now your potatoes and the onion have a lot of liquid that you'll want to press out. And you'll want to get out as much moisture as possible. And then, in the new bowl, put in your potato and onion mixture. After we've gotten as much liquid as possible out of the potato and onion, if we were to cook that as is, it's gonna all fall apart. We need something to help it bind together. So we're gonna take 2 eggs and about a half a cup of breadcrumbs to help these ingredients bind together when we're cooking it, because we're making potato pancakes after all. We want to make sure that they hold together. Now you could either use your hands or a fork to mix these ingredients together. And once you have your ingredients all together mixed evenly as possible, you can add some salt and some pepper to taste. So now you'll want to form your latkes. You want to make just a small little handful like this. You'll set those to the side. But keep them sort of round for now because they'll be pressed into the skillet once they're there in the oil. Now you want to put your latkes in your frying pan. Now in this pan, we have about a 1/2 inch deep of olive oil. Now we're cooking over a fire. We've got a fire in the corner and fire underneath our skillet that is on a trivet. At home, you'll be cooking your latkes on the stove, and you'll want to set it to about a medium-high heat. Once you have your latkes frying in the pan for about a minute, you'll want to press them down flat. After the latkes have been cooking for a few minutes, you'll want to check if they're a nice golden brown color like this. It's time to flip them over. Now it's time to pull our latkes out of the frying pan. They are a nice golden brown color. These are incredible looking. I have in this bowl here a towel to collect some of the excess oil. You could use paper towels. But look at that. Those are our finished latkes. Now that our latkes are done, let's give them a taste test. Oh man, those are good. You got to try this at home. Thank you for tuning in to this program today, learning about the history of latkes and Judaism here in Sacramento and its connection to Sutter's Fort in the 1840s. This is Jared Jones at Sutter's Fort State Historic Park, signing off.